This is a type of thing that would be carried by a British soldier.
Vanessa Lucido didn't just find old wood. She found a tunnel built with trees not from Oak Island. Someone brought that wood from far away to build something deep underground. She didn't dig for fun. She followed a plan. Each rock and mark was a clue someone left behind. Tune in, because when her drill hit a secret lid deep in the dirt, everything started to change. The spike beneath the split rock. It all started with a weird gap underground, a vault-like pocket in the swamp, empty but not boring. A space that looked like something had been taken or never placed. Creepy, quiet, and waiting to be figured out. Rick Lagina saw it, nodded once, and called the troops. Not with words, but with that intense stare of his that means, drop your sandwich, it's treasure time. But the gap wasn't as empty as it seemed. One person didn't blink. She slammed the gears into research mode. No soft starts, no looking back. She told Doug, Judy, and Terry to dive deep. Not into dirt, into paper. They hit up some old museum in Connecticut, one of those spots with more dust than lighting. Inside, a gold mine of forgotten records. She had her eye on Fred Nolan's theory, the one that said Oak Island isn't hiding one stash, it's hoarding multiple ones. And buried in that pile of dead trees was the jackpot. It's a complex story, and thus there has to be a why to it. Enter William B. Goodwin, a businessman with a hobby problem. He collected Oak Island notes like some people collect ketchup packets. Among his many piles was a hand-drawn sketch of what he swore was a treasure map. Not just one X, but 3. Not just one big guess, but 3 possible answers. The map wasn't original. It was Goodwin's version of a version. Think of it like a photocopy of a blurry memory, but it had markings, landmarks, and a vibe that was hard to ignore. The kind of thing you laugh at until the real rocks start showing up exactly where they're supposed to. She gave the green light and the team took that doodle like it was gospel. Their first stop, a fat, flat rock with an X carved into it. Not a small scratch, but a bold, angry X like someone wanted to shout, "Dig here, you fools!" They found it, just laying there in the dirt like it owned the place. A perfect match to Goodwin's sketch. They brought out the detectors, ears perked, hopes high. The machine hummed and blinked and gave them nothing, not even a bottle cap. But the leader wasn't moved. She turned them to the second marker, one with an X and square grooves. Again exactly where the map said. Again the scanner cried in silence. No treasure, no metal, but the stones were exactly right. Landmarks don't lie, they don't buzz, but they sure speak if you listen hard enough. As you well know, Fred did not have a metal detector. He wasn't, a proponent of that. Then came the kidney bean. That's not slang, that's what the map called it. A rock shaped like a bean, 91 feet inland off a certain road. The kind of description you'd laugh at if you didn't actually find it. But they did. Not just close, spot on. Bent and bulging like nature tried to grow a kidney. Still no beep, no bling, just more proof that the map might not be a joke. Her grin didn't crack. She pushed forward to the last rock. This one was described like it had been struck by the gods, split down the middle like a lightning bolt had torn it apart. And there it was, in all its broken glory, cracked clean, brutal, and obvious. The detector twitched. Then it sang, deep vibration, steady rhythm, not a fluke, not a leaf, real metal. Digging began and out came a piece of iron, thick, dark, forged. Old enough to remember when pirates were real, not modern scrap. This was the kind of metal you only find in museums or nightmares. A tunneling spike, maybe. A tool meant to go underground and stay there. Suddenly everything lined up. A split rock, a forged spike, a kidney beanstone, a chiseled X. She wasn't leading a dig, she was decoding a puzzle. No treasure chest yet, but every clue screamed planning. Design. Someone put these things here for a reason. They weren't dumped, they were planted. This wasn't luck, it was proof. Not of gold, maybe, but of someone trying to hide or find something long ago. People have been here, real ones who carried tools and secrets. Her playbook wasn't about random holes or old wives' tales. She reads the terrain like a thief reads a safe, with patience, suspicion, and the kind of excitement you don't admit to. She made the crew rethink every past failure, not because they were wrong, but because they were blind. Back at base, she didn't waste time bragging. She pointed back at the map. Every rock had matched. Every mark had been delivered. The only thing left was figuring out what those stones were pointing to. Because that iron spike wasn't just tossed, it was left. planted with purpose. Someone carved that X. Someone picked that rock. Someone dragged a spike under a stone and walked away. They cleared more land, dug deeper, scanned again. Around the split rock, silence. No more signals. But that didn't mean empty. It meant the clue had already been found. Maybe the rocks weren't pointing to one spot. Maybe they were a line, a path, a silent sentence written in boulders. She had them remeasure everything, every distance, every angle. The map wasn't just a map, it was math. I would like that small piece on every hole. The kind pirates used when they didn't want anyone else to figure it out. She had the team triangulate the rocks from X to square mark to bean-shaped, then extend the line past the split stone. That's where the real target might be. A spot no one had touched. A patch of land ignored by every previous dig. Not because it looked empty, but because it didn't look like anything. She marked the ground, ordered the machines, had Billy's crew strip the trees back. The air smelled like old pine and new risk. They dug, the machines groaned, dirt flew. Day 1, nothing. Day 2, nothing more. Day 3, a small wooden plank, rotten but straight, cut by hand, buried deep. Then another, then more. A wooden tunnel, a collapsed shaft, hard to tell. But it was there. Timber after timber, long buried, well placed. She stood there, arms crossed, watching history come up splinter by splinter. They found the spike, but the ground wasn't done talking. Vanessa found the web. The deeper they went, the more obvious it got. This wasn't a natural mess. Someone had built this, a structure, or at least an entrance to something bigger. Water started seeping in, not fast, but steady. They pumped and covered, keep digging. Around the 10th foot mark, a soft clunk, not rock, not wood, something denser. They cleared it off, a lid, flat and round, stone, metal. It didn't budge, not without help. Vanessa called for the big tools. They drilled around it, tapped the edges, finally got a corner loose. Inside, more darkness, a shaft lined with wood, dropping deeper. They couldn't lower a person yet, too unstable, but they sent a camera down. The image flickered, then focused. More wood, a tight tunnel, a horizontal beam crossing the frame, and in the corner, something glinting, not glowing, just catching the light. Vanessa didn't flinch. She ordered the team to map the entire space, beam by beam, inch by inch. By week's end, they had a new dig zone, one not marked on any previous map, one tied only to Goodwin's sketch and Vanessa's gut. This wasn't another theory. This was real, built, hidden, and maybe, just maybe, filled with what they'd all been chasing. Vanessa didn't let up. She pushed for reinforcements, cross-referencing the Goodwin map with newer drone scans. She found odd alignments between the rocks and old flood tunnels, connections no one had thought to check. The more she matched, the clearer it became. The island was wired with intention. Each stone wasn't just a mark, it was a node, a point on the web. When viewed right, they created a pattern, like constellations that only show up when the sky tilts. She brought in surveyors, mathematicians, people who could read chaos and see order. They found ratios, repeating distances, because we have detected high gold values in the area. High. It wasn't just guesses, it was geometry, secret math written in land. By the time fall rolled around, Vanessa had redrawn the dig map 3 times, each time more accurately, each time sharper. They found another plank tunnel, shallower but just as old. Another signal, another direction, no gold yet, no shiny chest, but the proof piled up, layer after layer. Vanessa didn't need to find treasure to prove something was hidden. She already had. And when the day comes they lift that final lid, it'll be because someone followed clues the right way, not because they got lucky. Meanwhile, in the North Swamp, things started getting strange. Dirt was flying and chunks of wood started popping up, but not the kind you find lying around after a storm. These had clean cuts, sharp edges like someone had been slicing and shaping wood back when pirates still used compasses. The crew leaned in, squinting at the chips like they were clues, and then they hit something unexpected, a stake poking right through an old board. That wasn't nature playing tricks, that was human hands, centuries old, leaving behind something on purpose. Experts started tossing out theories. Laird Niven kept his cool, but even he looked impressed. He called in Ian Spooner to test the wood.